I'm excited though because today we get to the first law, and like I was saying before, I read this book. It's called the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Great book. You got to read it. And you know, I figured that I do a lot of reading, and I wanted to share that with y'all. So maybe some of the insight that I get from these books, y'all can benefit from as well. And so at the same time, I'm able to read and I'm able to share that with you guys. And I do want to get into the first law. See, leadership is very important, and it's very, how do you say, it? It's either going to determine how effective you are in life. A person's leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness, and there's no getting around that. And the first law I want to talk about it's called the law of the lid. There's a cap that most people have, and if you don't develop these your leadership skills, I believe that anyone can really obtain leadership skills by practicing it and getting into it and learning more about it. But if you don't improve it, you're gonna have a lid, and that lid can cap off the amount of success or the level of success that you're trying to get to, or whatever you're trying to execute. It can really affect the effectiveness of whatever your organization is part of. And I want to tell you a little story that was in this book that illustrates the law of the lid. Now, there's these two brothers, a brother named Dick and a brother named Maurice, and right out of high school, this is back in about the 1930s. Right out of high school, they desired the American dream. They desired success, and it was something that they sought after. And they just dove head in first, and they opened a theater in California. And in the 4 years that they had that theater, they can never get it to a profitable state. Okay, and rent at the time was only $100 that the landlord required from them, and they couldn't even pay that. But still, that desire was still inside of them. They wanted success, so they moved to California, and they opened a drive-in restaurant. And this drive-in restaurant was doing good. And see, back in the days, people started getting more dependent on their vehicles. Vehicles, it was something new to America, and people were getting more dependent. And so this intuition they had of a drive-up restaurant, which now we call, drive-through, they started. And back then, even these drive-up restaurants, they would still serve glass and metal utensils. Glass plates and metal utensils, and so it was still like a restaurant, but you just eat in your car. And in about 1935, they were doing pretty well. They followed their intuition, and they moved their business to LA, and they were bringing in about $200,000 a year. So after expenses and costs and everything, the brothers found themselves splitting about $50,000 a piece, and back then that put them in their town's elite. So they followed their intuition. They wanted to go to a bigger city. They went to LA, and they opened another restaurant. And what they did was they eliminated glass plates and glass cups and metal silverware, and switched to paper and plastic. In that, they also eliminated the drive-in, and they started a walk-up window, which is kind of now like drive-through. And so eliminating their costs, they also developed a system which was called the Speedy Kitchen system, where they developed a line that everyone focused on an exact job, and their goal was to put the food in the bag each customer and have it done within 30 seconds or less. So this is the first time that this was a speedy restaurant, and or now we call fast food. And that raised their annual revenue to about $350,000. These guys started splitting $100,000 a year. Now, you might ask, who are these brothers, right? And I would tell you, Dick and Maurice McDonald. You could drive up to one of the restaurants, it would say McDonald's hamburgers. And you would say the rest is history, right? Like, these guys made it. Well, not really. The thing is, they had weak leadership, and they weren't able, it put a lid on their success. And there's a guy by the name of Ray Kroc, okay, that met with the McDonald's brothers because he had a factory that made milkshake machines that made milkshakes, and McDonald's was one of their biggest clients. So what he did was he met with these guys, and he struck a deal in 1955 to start a franchise business to franchise McDonald's out. And the brothers had tried to do that, but they had failed already. So when they teamed up with this guy worked 8 years, didn't get paid a cent for 8 years. And he was able to borrow money to keep some prominent leaders in his team. And then he ended up buying the McDonald's Corporation from the brothers for $2.7 million. Okay? And so the brothers thought that they made it big. But this guy, from 1955 to 1959, in 4 years, he built 100 McDonald's. 4 years after that, there was 500 McDonald's. And today, there's over 20,000 McDonald's in over 100 countries. This guy, Ray Kroc, bought this thing for $2.7 million and made this a multi-billion-dollar business. And it was because he was a leader. It was because he had vision. I mean, there was a guy by his name, what was his name? His name was Neil Fox. The brothers just didn't get it. They didn't get branding. Now, they had genius. Don't get me wrong. They were successful. But it still put a lid on where the success could have went. You understand what I'm saying? This guy by the name Neil Fox, when they first started the franchise, had told him, he was out of Phoenix. He brought the franchise idea and the Speedy System idea, and he told the brothers that he wanted to name it McDonald's. And the brothers like, why would you want to name it McDonald's? McDonald's doesn't mean nothing in Phoenix. And that was their response. So it just goes to show that sometimes with the law of the lid can actually put a cap, can seal the full potential of that success of whatever idea, whatever business that may be. So in knowing that, you have to understand that when you walk into a situation that you have your weaknesses, and if you don't, if you don't realize that, that can hinder you a lot. So the thing is, first is, you want to realize where your weaknesses are, realize where your lid is at, and then develop on those, play your strengths, right? But then develop in those weak areas. Start reading a little bit more. There's a time in my life where I didn't know nothing. And I'm not saying I know everything now, but I'm just saying I didn't know nothing. I was marketing, and I was marketing for these dental offices, and I didn't even know I was marketing. Like, I didn't even know what that meant. When I was networking, I didn't know what networking was until I delved into books, and then I realized the different types of marketing: direct marketing, guerrilla marketing, business-to-business marketing, just different types of strategies and ways to approach things. So the thing is, connect yourself with people, with great leaders. You want to connect yourself with people that you want to be like. That's why I believe, me personally, that envy and jealousy is a sin, and not a sin that I'm not talking about hell or nothing like that, but I mean it's a sin to yourself, because when you see somebody that you want to be like, people that have envy, they separate themselves. But people that surround themselves with people that are more greater than them, that think smarter than them, think faster than them, and they learn from these people, and they're able to develop those skills. Anyway, guys, just wanted to bless y'all and let y'all know about the power of the lid. Realize the power of the lid. Realize your weaknesses, and then start developing in those areas. Feel free to give me any comments or message me anytime. I'm pretty quick at responding back. And, again, I do this so that way we can work together, create a platform for all of us to connect, so that we can help each other through this journey we call life. And remember, today, you're the architect of your tomorrow. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Welcome to the good life. Welcome to the good life.
The wait is over.
Welcome to the good life.